finally listed company Bank Syariah Indonesia started operating by February 1st, 2021 or today after being inaugurated by President Joko Widodo at the State Palace. And the capital market analyst stated that this will make the share price of BRIS go higher.
Legal merger has done, and the merger of three state-owned Islamic banks in Indonesia has started. As of February 1st, BNI Syariah, Bank Syariah Mandiri, officially merged with BRI Syariah to form Bank Syariah Indonesia, the country's largest Islamic bank. The capital market observers predict that the issuer of a Bank Syariah Indonesia stocks will have opportunity to continue to grow, along with the large Islamic capitalizations market. And for that, research analyst at Atronaci International, Ruth Simak, predicts that the trend of BRIS stock price will have an opportunity to go bullish like in 2020. It is estimated that the total assets of the merged entity will reach 214.6 trillion Indonesian rupiah, or equal to $15.2 billion US dollar. Plus, the total equity is 20.4 trillion rupiah, or equal to 1.4 billion US dollar.
Itu dari sisi teknikal, BRIS juga masih dalam keadaan bullish. Hanya saja koreksi akhir-akhir ini agak sedikit dalam. Tapi jangan khawatir, selama bertahan di atas 2100, BRIS masih bisa kembali ke area tertingginya di tahun 2020 atau minimal di area 3200.
These large number brings the company amongst Indonesia's top 10 bank in terms of assets and the top 10 Islamic banks in the world in the terms of market capitalization. Jakarta, Wicky Adrian for IDX Channel.
Fresh from the oven, it is happening now. Indonesia has its largest Islamic bank, Bank Syariah Indonesia. The President Director of Bank Syariah Indonesia, Heri Gunadi, said that it was an honor and pride for Bank Syariah Indonesia to start its official journey from the State Palace. So yeah, Bank Syariah Indonesia is a merger of three state-owned Islamic banks, and let's see the shareholders proportion in the next graphic. Through the next graphic, we can see Bank Syariah Indonesia's shareholders. First of all, we can see Bank Mandiri as the majority of the shareholders within the ownership of 51.2% of the Bank Syariah Indonesia as a whole. And then moving on to Bank Negara Indonesia that owns 25% of the shareholders of Bank Syariah Indonesia. And the next one is Bank Rakyat Indonesia within a 17.4%. And the rest, a DPLKY, a BRI by 2%, and then also the public shares that got 4.4% of the whole Bank Syariah Indonesia shares. And the President Director Heri reported that the integrations begin in early March 2020, or it took around 11 months. And can you imagine, it took only 11 months to develop biggest Syariah bank in Indonesia. And during that time, the stakeholders did the entire due diligence series, like signing the merger deed, submitting the information disclosure, and also obtaining permits from the Financial Services Authority, or OJK. And the results of this merger provides great energy for the national economy. So how is that so? It is because the survivor entities, which are Bank Mandiri Syariah, BNI Syariah, and BRI Syariah, already have a stunning financial performance. So let's see the survivor entities' financial performance in the next graphic. Here it is. We can see on how BRI Syariah, Mandiri Syariah, and BNI Syariah financial performance. We can take a look first from BRI Syariah from its total assets by 56 trillion rupiah in whole 2020, and also moving on to Mandiri Syariah, which is the biggest among of all, by 119 trillion rupiah total asset in 2020. And moving on to BNI Syariah, from its total equity, it reached 52.39 trillion rupiah. And then moving on, if we take a look at the funding that BRI Syariah provide, it takes 40.4 trillion rupiah throughout 2020. And moving on to Mandiri Syariah by 79 trillion rupiah within 2020. And how about funding in BNI Syariah? It reaching 32.28 trillion rupiah. This is such a stunning financial performance by the survivor entities, and it is estimated that the total assets of the merged entity will reach 214.6 trillion rupiah, or equal to 15.2 billion US dollar. And plus the total equity is 20.4 trillion rupiah, or equal to 1.4 billion US dollar. These large number brings the company among Indonesia's top 10 banks in terms of assets and the top 10 Islamic banks in the world in terms of market capitalizations. And SOE Ministry is optimistic that the Bank Syariah Indonesia will accelerate the realizations of the multiplier effect for the national economy. The reason is, with this merger, the scale of coverage and services of Islamic banking will increasingly reach the public. So let's see how's the network from these three merger banks in the next graphic. Here it is through your screen. We can see the survivor entities network. First of all, we can see through the first index is BRI Syariah with the customers of 3.8 million Syariah customers. And moving on to Bank Mandiri Syariah within 8 million customers, and then BNI Syariah within 4 million customers. And if we take a look at the offices they got, we got BRI Syariah with 1 regional office, 71 branches offices, and also 200-ish sub-branches, and also 10 cash offices. And moving on to Bank Mandiri Syariah offices, it got 736 offices across Indonesia, and also BNI Syariah by 383 offices all across Indonesia. And it is expected that Bank Syariah Indonesia will operate by relying on 1,200 branches and more than 20,000 workers spread across the country, so it can maintain the relevance of the product offerings to customers. And despite being the world's largest Muslim populations, Indonesia is still falling behind the Syariah economy, and this bank becomes Indonesia's strategy to re-up its full potential. So let's sum up the valuations in the next graphic. Through the next graphic, we can see Bank Syariah Indonesia's valuations, which is projected that the total asset will reach 214.6 trillion rupiah. Magnificent. And if we talk about the main capital or the equity itself that gathered from the Bank Syariah Indonesia, it will reach 20.4 trillion rupiah. And yes, on the other hand, it is estimated that the total assets of this merged entity will reach 214.6 trillion rupiah, or equal to 15.2 billion US dollar, plus the total equity is 20.4 trillion rupiah, or equal to 1.4 billion US dollar. On a separate occasion, State-owned Enterprises Minister Erick Thohir hopes that Bank Syariah Indonesia can enter the world's top 10 Islamic banks by 2025. On the other hand, if there are no unexpected obstacles, Bank Syariah Indonesia can enter the world's top 10 largest Islamic bank based on the market capitalizations in the next 4 or 5 years. And then the President and Director of Bank Syariah Indonesia, Heri Gunadi, said that the Bank Syariah Indonesia is committed to being a banking institutions that serve all lines of society to become a modern and inclusive bank in providing services to the community. Still upholding the principle of Syariah, being a bank owned by customers because it has competitive products and meets the needs of the community services. And yes, viewers, as Syariah economy still holds enormous potential, we hope that Indonesia can seize this opportunity by accelerating the development of the national Syariah economy and finances, and of course through Bank Syariah Indonesia. And yes, viewers, stay tuned with us because market headlines will be right back after this quick break.